Welcome to Hanratty'S Huddle with your host, Terry Hanratty. I'm Dave Torromeo, and Terry, another round of NFL playoff games, and we're ready for the Super Bowl. You were spot on in your predictions with your pick of Kansas City and San Francisco.
I'm really surprising myself, Dave, because I've been notorious of being just absolutely horrible in picking the outcome of professional football games and college. But now that I'm on a roll, that I'm actually 5 out of my last 6 games, so I'm sort of patting myself on the back here.
Well, you should, actually. Maybe it took a podcast to get you kind of in the right direction, but you are 5 out of 6, including the spreads. You like Kansas City a lot. Tell me why.
Andy Reid. I think he's by far right now the best head coach, the best play caller, and I think he's been through everything 100 times, so that really gels him in that. And the selection, when he jumped up to pick Patrick Mahomes, everybody sort of shook their heads and said, what's he doing that for?
Yeah.
Now we all realize why he did that.
Now we know.
So he knows that. I mean, he has the eye for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Mahomes has been just phenomenal, but you really have to think at this point, give it to Kelsey. As much as we are probably a little tired with his love life, what he does on the field last week especially was incredible. Obviously the touchdown catches and that the catch he made over the middle where Mahomes was rolling out to his left.
Right.
And it looked like a sack, looked like he was going to run out of bounds. All of a sudden he turns real quick and throws it across the middle, which no quarterback is supposed to do.
Right.
Then you see Kelsey flying through the air making the catch for a big first down.
Yeah. They have come on strong. Although I do have questions about their offensive line, some injuries, which I think if you look back to the Super Bowl they lost, that was the reason. They were very thin on the offensive line.
Well, the right tackle
Yeah.
is the most penalized player in the league.
Okay.
And, he's always the offsides, the holding, and you just wonder, he's a drive killer. But, somehow that's the problem what they're going to run into.
Yeah.
They got 2 great pass rushers.
Yeah.
We'll jump too quick there to that one, but
I'm going to make a statement and tell me if you agree with it. They can call holding on any play.
I agree.
Okay.
And a lot of times when I see the holding call actually called, I don't agree with holding.
Okay.
So it's a very difficult call for the officials.
Yeah.
And I think we've stated a lot of times over the year and past few years that the officiating has not been all that great. They're missing a lot of stuff. They're having a lot of conferences and they're overruling the flag that was thrown on the ground. All those things. It gets people thinking about what's going on out there. Let's keep the game moving. Throw the flag. You think that's right? Everybody says, "Well, it's good that they got the call right." Well, sometimes they don't.
And sticking with the Baltimore-Kansas City game for a second, did you think Baltimore underperformed? Did they not live up to the expectation or the moment?
Well, I think Lamar is. He's not played well in the playoffs in the past, and I don't think he played that well.
I agree.
In this game, so it was you wonder whether maybe he gets a little tightness and the conversations that and the weather was supposed to be bad, but it was actually very good for football.
It wasn't bad.
It was in the high 40s and there was no rain, and so that was actually a perfect day to play.
Sure.
So I think that Spagnuolo confused him a lot in his coverages and his schemes. And Spagnuolo is just a wonderful defensive coach, so I think he and Andy Reid together are a perfect combination.
They really are, and they're the defending Super Bowl champions, and they're going to Las Vegas for this Super Bowl coming up next week, and they will be playing the San Francisco 49ers, as you predicted.
I think the 49ers are the best all-around team in the NFL.
Okay.
I think, I don't think that their pass rushers, Young and Bosa, I don't think they've really played that well the last few weeks. They have not dominated. I saw them in the middle of the year. I forget who they were playing, but I mean, they took over the game.
Yeah.
And the interior of that defensive line, I think, is a little weak. So I think Kansas City is going to be able to run the ball on them. Shockingly enough, they're going to be able to run, and that sets up the pass. But it's going to behoove the 2 tackles to really be on the top of their game because these guys can be disruptive.
They can. And Pacheco for Kansas City, kid out of Rutgers, he's a hard runner. He takes that ball, he just hits the hole.
He's a violent runner.
He's a violent runner, right?
He really is, and that's very. And he runs very low.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to get that initial hit on him.
Yeah.
because he's running low and these guys are all 6'5". They look down, boom,
Right, yeah.
and he's so quick and so violent that he's 8 yards before you know it.
Right, and it's there are a lot of backs now. We think of Bell when you think of guys who tiptoe to the line and pick a hole and then they dart into it. This guy just takes the ball and he just goes. You're right, he's a hard runner, so that should be interesting. And so, moving on to the San Francisco-Detroit game. Now, you say San Francisco is the best team top down, but I have to say I think they were fortunate to get past Green Bay, and I think Detroit, I hate to use this word, but I believe it, choked this game away. I think Detroit had this game.
Well, I think they probably played into their young team.
Yep.
They just weren't ready for something like this. And, Green Bay played a great first half. I mean,
Yes.
everything
Detroit,
they did,
Detroit,
everything
yeah.
was
Oh, you're
perfect.
talking about the first game.
And the 49ers,
Yep.
they didn't do anything. But
Right.
as soon as that ball off the helmet,
Yes.
and they catch the ball on about the 4-yard line,
Right.
I said to myself, this game is over and San Francisco wins.
Yeah.
Because when crazy stuff like that starts to happen, it's tough to kill Mo. Once you lose Mo,
Yeah.
momentum,
Well-
you can't get it back. It's very difficult.
But I think a lot of the Detroit stuff was self-inflicted, other than the coaching decisions, which everybody's complaining about or criticizing Dan Campbell for the fourth down. He's been doing that all year. I don't agree with it, especially in a playoff game.
Well, if I was coaching, I would not be a great proponent to fourth and go for it.
Yeah.
I use the punt as a weapon.
The punt and the field goal.
But
They were
that's
field
my
goals, yeah.
philosophy.
Yeah.
Campbell's philosophy is he wants to be a gunslinger.
Yeah.
And he did everything in the playoff game that
Yeah.
he did to get them to the playoff game.
Right.
So I don't have a big deal with him. on
Okay,
that.
but I think you have to manage a playoff game a little differently than you do a regular season
It's a one
game.
and done. Exactly.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if they kick a field goal and you have a chance to match that and keep them within 3 scores, you do it. But maybe he'll change his philosophy. I don't know. But aside from those decisions, you had a fumble, which was crucial. That was a game turner. You had the catch you're talking about, which I think there could have been offensive pass interference on that play on San Francisco. They did throw a flag, but they picked it up for some reason. I hate that. It's like, why did you throw it in the first place? And then, because if you watch, the guy pushes off a little bit, and the defensive player has as much right to catch that ball as the offensive player because it was up in the air. So we'll go back and watch that again. And then, obviously, to me, when the guy punted the ball down on the 1-yard line and the Detroit player put his feet in the end zone, I was like, they did everything to self-inflict and implode. And I think you're right. I think they're young. I think they went into that locker room at halftime and said, "We're going to the freaking Super Bowl.
Yes.
We're up 24-7. We're going to the Super Bowl."
They were making plans for the Super Bowl
Yeah.
with about 30 minutes to go in the game.
Right.
So it's sad because I think they're really good, Detroit.
I think they're good.
I think they're good,
and I
and
think-
they're young.
Yeah, they're
which
young.
which bodes well. And I mentioned it last time. It reminded me a lot of the old my Steeler teams.
Yeah.
When we were going to our first Super Bowl, we were very young,
Yeah.
and and we just the rookies thought, okay, you play the season, you go playoffs, and you go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
They don't know that there was 40 years prior to that where there wasn't anything like this.
I agree with you, and I understand what you're saying, but I think if you're there and you have the opportunity, you have to seize it. Not that Detroit didn't want to seize it, but I think even Dan Campbell, you have no guarantees in that sport, especially with injuries, things that can happen. Teams are going to be up for you now every week. It's going to be very hard for a team like that to get back. Even Baltimore, they had a great regular season. They look to be one of the top 2, if not the top team. So we have our 2 teams, San Francisco and the Chiefs. We can wait till the next podcast to get your thoughts, but unless you want to share them here now, I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, let's wait till next week to actually delve into the Super Bowl. There's one thing I'd like to bring up. I mean, it's
Please.
good. It's good about that we're preparing for the Super Bowl. 'Cause
Right.
the one year that everybody said 2 weeks is too long. 2 weeks is too long.
Right.
They went 1 week.
Yep.
And it was horrible because
Yes.
it's a logistical nightmare.
Yes.
Because you don't know who's going to be in the Super Bowl till that Sunday.
Yeah.
Now you have 2 teams that have to get to the Super Bowl. And they've got to get plane reservations. Not the plane, they got private planes.
Yep.
But they have to get rooms, and they have to get their families. And their, Aunt Susan wants to come to the game, and you didn't tell me she wanted to come. There's all kind of nightmares, and they don't want to put up with that. So they figure that they're gonna the first week that they're gonna get everything settled. The rooms are settled. Everybody's got their hotel room, and but then what they do when I was my rookie year in Super Bowl, not my rookie year, but in Super Bowl IX, our first Super Bowl with the Steelers, tickets back then were $25 a ticket.
Oh wow,
that's something.
Yeah.
Now you were every player got 4 free.
Okay.
And you had an option to buy 20 more.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So obviously everybody bought them.
Sure.
Then there was one guy on the team who one travel agency contacted him and said, "Okay, listen, I'm putting together this big trip. Buy up as many tickets as you possibly can."
Gotcha.
So he was paying $150 a ticket, which back then was incredible. That was big time money.
Yeah.
And so it was Andy Russell, who was our linebacker and captain. He was the guy that they designated. So you took out of the 24 tickets.
Yep.
You took enough for the friends and family.
Right.
Then you sold the balance to Andy, and he gave you $150 per ticket.
Wow.
Nice hit.
Nice.
So I talked to Lynn Swann, Hall of Fame Lynn Swann, great receiver.
Yeah.
And I said, "Swanee, what are you going to do?" He said, "Oh, listen." He said, "If I can get 150 here, I'm going to get a lot more in New Orleans." And we're playing at some garbage stadium, a Tulane Stadium, way back in the day. It was horrible. But he said, "I'm going to get a lot more money down there." I said, "Well, $150 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
$25, that's a good return."
Sure.
So we get down there, and we're practicing. All of a sudden, it just turns cold.
Yeah.
And it is raining. And it is just that bite.
Yeah.
They were selling tickets outside the stadium for $5.
Oh boy, can you imagine?
And we're in the locker room getting all suited up and ankles taped and whatnot. And I go up to Swan. I said, "Swan," "you got those tickets still?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Where are they?" He pulls them out. He fans them out in front of me. And I pull out from behind my back a salt shaker. And I sprinkled the salt on the tickets. I said, "It tastes better with salt on them." Ended up eating like 15 or 20 tickets for the Super Bowl. But that was the day. That was the day.
So
a bird in the hand.
It's what they say. But that's very interesting because I think there've been over the years some other players who have delved into that and gotten into trouble, obviously, for doing that with their tickets. I'm
too old. You can't catch me now.
No. Well, that's a funny story, though. That's hilarious. So, and that's a good. I like to play with the salt because he obviously had to eat those tickets. But, well, how things have changed, huh?
Well, I don't even what the tickets now are just incredible.
Yeah,
the expense.
It's insanity, really. So, all right. So, what else is on your mind? Anything for this week?
No, I think this is one of those weeks where you sort of take a breath.
Yeah, okay.
And everybody sits back and relaxes. Then, starting Monday, when the teams finally get to the site, that's when things start picking up. Everybody's at home now practicing, making sure they got everybody's arrangements and packing the kids' suitcases and the wife's suitcase and whatnot and getting everybody down there.
All right.
But next week should be cranked up.
Next week we'll get more in depth with the Super Bowl and obviously.
Again, 5 out of 6. I got to really give it a lot of thought now for the big game.
People should be paying attention to what you're going to say. And either I or Rob Adams will be with you next week and talk about. Obviously, the spread right now opened up as a San Francisco opened up as a 1-point favorite. But in this game, there's you could bet on anything. The length of the national anthem, the coin flip, anything really that you can think of. There's going to yards rushing. So the prop bets are always very interesting and funny. I've never really done prop bets like that, but because they even now have to protect when the guy or the people rehearse the anthem. They have to do that incognito because they don't want the word getting out how long the anthem is because they know people are betting on it.
Yeah,
you can imagine that. But,
imagine having your bet finished at the coin flip.
That's right. I'm putting the mortgage on.
Yeah, I bet $100,000 on heads. All of a sudden, this tail, game over.
The rest of your day is ruined. Very good. All right, Terry. Well, this is Hanratty'S Huddle with Terry Hanratty. I'm Dave Torromeo, and we look forward to next week's podcast when we will get more into the Super Bowl. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you, Dave.